In this video, I used only one camera, one lens, and one light to create some amazing cinematic footage that quite frankly got me very excited to pick up my camera and shoot again. Sirui just released a 35mm Anamorphic lens for the RF mount, and they asked me to do some shooting with it. Now, for those of you that have been at the channel for a while, you will know that I literally just sold my Canon R6 to get into the Lumix S5. So we had to borrow this Canon R5C from this legend right here, Donovan Wagner. He's another amazing content creator and car photographer. So go check him out and send him a thank you for giving me this camera, because it is absolutely phenomenal. For this video's purposes, we had this camera set up in 10-bit 422 4K 24 frames per second. We wanted to shoot in 16:9 format utilizing the full sensor, because once we put on an anamorphic lens, it's going to squeeze down our frame quite a bit. So I set the camera to 4K utilizing the full sensor. Now, something super helpful about the R5C is that it does have an anamorphic de-squeeze function for your monitor while you're filming. Now, it doesn't have the same de-squeeze ratio that this lens needed, but it was close enough that I could monitor my footage easily and get a good sense of what I was filming on the other end. The final setting that I put on the R5C is when shooting in C-Log, you have two base ISOs, one of 800 and the other at 3200. This is so helpful, especially when you're shooting late at night, is being able to get maximum amounts of light into your camera. So that is why the R5C came in so clutch. Now, this is really, really cool. Sirui also wanted to send me a filter for the lens that would help me out with my car videography while I was shooting this. So they sent me this HNY VND plus CPL filter. It has like a variable filter thread, and it sits on any lens between 46mm and 62mm just by squeezing this down and releasing on your lens. This is a super clever ND and CPL filter. It worked really well cutting off the reflections of the Mercedes-Benz while getting and maintaining proper exposure using the variable ND filter. So this is the 35mm f2.9 anamorphic lens by Sirui. It's pretty small, but feels quite beefy and really good quality. It's got a fairly wide aperture of t2.9 all the way through 16, so it lets quite a bit of light in, and it's also fully manual, and it has a minimum focusing distance of 3 feet. The de-squeeze ratio on this is a 1.6 times, and I'll show you what that means in a little bit at the end of the video, how we take the footage from this lens, de-squeeze it in post to 1.6 times to make it look fantastic. So the one light that I decided to bring with me was the Nanlite Pavo Tube 2.6C. We just wanted this in case we missed the light and we needed to do some cool panning over details. It's obviously super small, so you can pack this quite easily in your Go kit, and it's super versatile. So I stacked this on my tripod, put it behind me when I was in the driver's seat, and then we used it to pan over some details as well. Super, super cool light, and again, it's super affordable. So I'll leave links for all this stuff down in the description below. Now, before we get into what I love and do not love about this lens, we are gonna do a giveaway with the sponsor of today's video, and that is Piloti Shoes. Piloti Shoes has been a partner of this YouTube channel for a lot of years, and when I told them about this video idea, they immediately wanted to hop on board, and they are the ones that actually provided the Mercedes-Benz AMG GTS for us to drive. So huge shout out to them, and they wanted to offer one of you guys a free pair of shoes. So head over to this post on my Instagram channel to figure out how you guys can enter to win a pair of their shoes. Not only do they look good, they feel good, and they actually add 10 horsepower to your driving. That part's not true, but they can make you drive faster with their heel roll technology that they have innovated. Piloti has been a great partner to the channel, so if you want to support me, let's support them by heading over to this Instagram post, and you guys can enter to win a pair of their shoes. Okay, so let's talk about what I love about this lens. First and foremost, the image coming out of this lens was so good that when I saw it in post, it just got me riled up. It's been a long time since you take a look at your footage and you're just like getting so freaking stoked. Now, the first time that we went out to shoot with this lens, we tried to catch sunset and we actually totally missed it, which meant that we were getting blue light and we were getting really nice highlights from the car and the headlights. But when we got back and started looking at the footage, we were so excited about what was coming out of this camera with this lens that we wanted to go back again the next day and make sure that we hit sunset and got the perfect light. I mean, it looks amazing, dude.
It does.
When like that, I don't know if you can see it, but like when that light flares in it, it just looks so good. 35mm is my personal favorite focal length of all time, so when they wanted to send this to me, I was really excited to try it out. As well, I think it looks pretty fantastic paired with automotive videography, as you always have these headlights and you're able to get this beautiful ray of light when you get the light just right with these things. And in my opinion, the lens flares actually look pretty good. In most cases, they're quite subtle, unless you're shooting obviously directly at a light, then you're gonna get pretty extreme flares. But outside of that, the flares weren't too intense and I kind of appreciated the subtleties of them. And honestly, I think just having a piece of kit in your backpack that makes you excited to go out and film is awesome. Now, I mean, ultimately you guys can judge for yourself whether you guys think this footage looks good, but to my eyes, it got me super excited. Okay, so let's talk about a few of the cons of this lens or things that I didn't necessarily like about using it. And to be quite honest, the list is very short. The only thing that I found to be difficult about using this lens was the minimum focusing distance is 3 feet. So I don't think you'll be able to actually pull focus that close. It's like 2 feet.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to get tight details of something like any of the buttons or any of the interiors of the car, it was actually quite difficult to get close enough to capture those emotions or those details with this lens because the minimum focusing distance is 3 feet. So as you guys can see, when you get the footage into the computer, it looks quite stretched vertically. So because we were shooting on a 1.6 times stretched footage, we need to de-squeeze that footage in post. Now I had to Google this and the right settings to do, but for us, because we're at 1.6 times, we have to go and scale our Y-axis down to 63.5. And what this is gonna do is add those black bars to the top and bottom and de-squeeze our footage to make it look natural. Now, anamorphic is a very specific look and it's not for everyone. Obviously, you're limited to having those bars on the top and the bottom, so it might not be for every film that you work on. But Hollywood uses anamorphic lenses in almost all of the new movies that are coming out these days. So the fact that Sirui is giving content creators like you and me really great anamorphic lenses at a super cost-effective price point is pretty incredible. And I honestly was a skeptic of it, knowing that it was a cost-effective lens. Normally, that means cost-effective equals compromise, but in my opinion, there wasn't a whole lot of compromise when it came to this lens. Now, this final shot here was not shot with the Sirui anamorphic lens, but it was shot with the DJI Mini 3 Pro with an anamorphic lens filter. Now I am going to be making a whole video on that drone and my experience with it in Phoenix, so make sure guys to subscribe here, and I do hope to see you in the next video. Peace.